To install a cylinder head gasket, it's okay to go ahead and drop your chain in. You want to clean off the top. Make sure when you're installing the gasket that you can read the little up. Next, install your O-rings. There's 4 of them, doesn't matter which side up. Before you install your cylinder head, clean it off a little. You can lightly scrape with a razor. You don't want to press into it just because you don't want to gouge it out. Put our copper washers in. I'm going to put a towel in the engine so I don't drop one in there. There's 8 of them. We're going to go ahead and put our nuts on. On this engine, all of the nuts appear to be the same. On some newer engines, the nuts appear to be different from the inside to the outside. So make sure you're putting the nuts in the same position. Once you have your cylinder head nuts finger tight, you want to go ahead and use a torque wrench to tighten them all the way. The spec is 26 to 29 foot-pounds, but to start, you want to start at about 15 and do them in the same pattern, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. After that, you'll go to about 20 foot-pounds and do the same, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then split the difference between 26, 29, about 27 and a half. Okay, that was 15. Let's go to 20. Install your cylinder head bolt. The torque spec is 5 to 8 foot-pounds. Because I have to use a different torque wrench, I'm going to be working in inch-pounds, so my spec would be 62 to 97. I've got it set to 80. Install your hand chain guide with this knob facing the front of the engine. And you'll see on this back, that's what the chain actually rides on. We're going to reinstall our valve shims. If you had any that were out of spec, now's the time to put the new ones in. To prepare to put the cams in, take out your paper towel, making sure that your washers don't go anywhere, and fish out your chain. Now we want to line up our RT mark to the center of the intake. While you're doing that, you want to pull this chain up and make sure that it doesn't bind while you're spinning. After our RT mark is aligned, we're going to install our exhaust cam. On the exhaust cam, you'll see the number 1 with an arrow pointing that way. That's going to face the front of the engine and be parallel with the top of it. So I have the number 1 here, and the arrow that's parallel and pointing towards the front of the engine. To install the intake cam, you're first going to count out the chains where it should go. So, starting at this number 2, you're going to include that in your count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. On the 18th, you're going to mark it right there. And then with your cam, you want to look for the R. There's an R here and an L right here to make sure it's in the right orientation. And you're going to look for the number 3. To the left of the number 3, there's an arrow. You want to make that arrow point right to that number 18 that you marked. So there's the 18, and there's our arrow pointing right at that. After that, you can go ahead and put your cam down. Install the cam caps. Remember, they all have letters on them. A, B, C, D. Make them finger tight just for now. Just like our cylinder head nuts, for these caps we're going to tighten them gradually on each side. So the specs are 6 to 9 foot-pounds. I'm using inch-pounds, which is 71 to 106. So with your torque wrench, start small and work your way up. To install the chain tensioner, place a new gasket on there and take out this rubber plug. You stick your screwdriver in there and turn, you'll notice that this pin will go down, but you have to hold that tension. Now keep on holding that tension, otherwise that pin will pop out while you screw in the bolts. Once your cam chain tensioner bolts are set, you can pull out the screwdriver. Replace your rubber plug. Now that we have everything back together again, you want to make sure that everything's in time. If you don't have everything in time, you run the risk of breaking a valve. The first thing you want to do is make sure that the RT mark is lined up with the center of this pickup. Next, you want to double check that to the right of the number 1 is the arrow that's parallel to this piece right here and pointing forward. Next, At the number 2, there's an arrow. You want to count this piece of chain and make sure that there's 18, and the 18th one stops right where this arrow is pointing to. So once you've double checked that everything is correct, you want to slowly go ahead and turn the engine. You'll feel a little bit of resistance. If there's too much, you want to stop in case something's wrong. So let's go ahead and spin it 2 turns. I spun this once at the RT, which means that our notches in our cams are facing out. I've lined up the RT here. I'm going to double check that this arrow is pointing to the front and that this number 2, we count from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and the 18th pin should line up right at the number 3 arrow where it's pointing. At this point, you want to check all your valve clearances just like you did before. We're going to install our cylinder head cover. First we're going to put some liquid gasket, a dab in each of the cam journal corners. You want to make sure that that gasket stays in place. Next, you're going to put in all your bolts. You'll notice that there's a long and a short one. The long ones will go here and on this side. Once you have your bolts in finger tight, go ahead and torque them to 10 to 11 foot-pounds. Make sure you go in a crisscross pattern. Finally, you can go ahead and install your side cover and your spark plugs. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you need more information, go to gstwin.com. Piston ring bangles, yours for $49.95 plus shipping.